What is going on, guys? It is lowfigh, and there's a question that I've been wondering. See, this is my gaming mouse of choice. It is the Logitech G502 Lightspeed, and it costs 160 euros or $160. But why? So I decided to go out and find the cheapest gaming mouse I could, buy it, test it out, and see what is the difference between the cheapest gaming mouse and a high-end gaming mouse. So this is what I got. The Trust Rava GXT 108. It costs 10 euros. Or $10, I guess, because I don't know. This was the cheapest gaming mouse I could find in my hometown. So let's open this up and see what the difference is between these two. Let's get into it. So looking at the mice, you can see a clear difference. Even though the G502 is not your typical smooth, symmetrical office mouse, it pales in comparison to the extremely eccentric design of the Rava. There's a rainbow effect going on constantly, and the black surface has these tribal style cutouts to show more of that eccentric RGB. And on top of that, the casing itself has all these completely pointless perforations. I mean, we all know who this kind of design appeals to. And the materials used shouldn't really surprise either. The G502 is sturdy, made with good quality materials. It feels like it can take a beating. And the Rava, on the other hand, feels like it will break from a single hit. It is very, very cheap plastic. Not only that, the G502 has rubber on both sides where your fingers rest to improve your grip. But the Rava, on the other hand, has gone a different way completely by putting hard, glossy plastic on its sides, which makes the grip on the mouse even worse. Button-wise, the G502 has a ton. Besides your typical left click, right click, and scroll, it also has on the left side 2 thumb buttons, plus an additional thumb button, 2 buttons next to the left click. The scroll works as a button on both sides, and behind the scroll you have your scroll lock unlock button and 1 more extra button behind that, and all of these buttons are completely customizable to do anything you want in the G-Hub software. The Rava, on the other hand, has the noisiest left click and right click that I've used, and a typical kind of scroll, which is once again littered with RGB. It does have 2 thumb buttons and a DPI switch button, which works in increments of something that is not disclosed anywhere. And none of these can be changed because, surprisingly, there is no software. But that is it with the physical side. What about the specs? Well, the G502s are nothing if not great, but that should be expected at this price point. It sports the Hero 25K sensor, which is stellar. It has a DPI from 100 to 25,600, a max acceleration of 40G, a max speed of around 400 IPS, and a polling rate of 1 millisecond. And all of that working with no mouse acceleration or smoothing. Now the Rava, on the other hand, has a no-name optical sensor. It sports 600 to 2000 DPI. Once again, that is the range, and you don't get to decide what you use, except for the increments that it doesn't tell you. It has a max acceleration of 16G, a max speed of 24 IPS, and all of that with a polling rate or report rate of 8 milliseconds. The Rava tries to make up for these shortcomings by having mouse smoothing and mouse acceleration on by default, and no, you cannot turn them off. So there are a few things here that get me instantly worried. But I will elaborate once we hop into the... So all of these specs are okay for a €10 mouse. It's incredibly cheap. But all of the shortcomings can be excused if the mouse works, right? So does it? Does the mouse work? Well, this is where that 8 millisecond polling rate jumps in.
Hey guys, quick correction here. I'm just editing this video and I noticed that I attribute all of the problems with the mouse to the polling rate, which is actually incorrect. The problems that I'm gonna get into here are actually have all to do with the max speed of 24 IPS and the acceleration. The polling rate, the delay of 8 milliseconds is a problem. It's just not this one. Okay, back to the video.
If we can get through the insanely loud left and right click, and the fact that the mouse looks like it was designed by an edgy unicorn, there's still one thing that can make up for it if that is what this mouse is able to do, and that is gaming. Is that fair? Is it fair for me to say that even a €10 gaming mouse needs to be able to do the gaming part? Because this thing can't. Let me explain. If you're playing pretty much anything other than a turn-based game, you need to be able to react to things. And this is what fast movement looks like with a mouse that has a proper polling rate. Notice how it follows your movement wherever you go, and you're sure that the mouse is gonna end up where you intended it to go. Now, when you have a slow polling rate, the mouse literally can't keep up with you. If you make a quick, big movement, the mouse gets literally left behind. If it wasn't evident yet, let me give you a better example. This is me moving the G502 rapidly back and forth, left and right, with quick, big movements, constantly. You can see that the cursor is flying to the left, to the right, as it's supposed to. This is what you would expect to see when you do this with a mouse. Now let's see what happens with the robot. You can see that the cursor isn't updating its situation, its location, quick enough, so it just ends up getting stuck in the middle of the screen. Now just consider this in some gaming situations. In a shooter game, you need to be able to react quickly and try to turn around, and your movement is cut halfway. In League of Legends, you need to be able to react quickly, but your mouse didn't go where you intended it to go. Basically, anytime you need to do something quickly, the mouse will not do it, and will cut your movement, your intended movement, halfway. Your movement will be just cut short. That is just not okay in something that calls itself a gaming mouse. We can clearly see that the little amount of money that has been spent on this gaming mouse has gone to the RGB and the outer design. And all of the savings have come from the sensor and the usability of the mouse itself. Because let's consider who would buy a €10 gaming mouse that looks like this. Well, that would be kids, and kids' parents. And when it's a kid using this, they probably won't figure out that it's the mouse that is hindering their performance, and they'll just think that they're bad at the game. And that is just scummy. Shame on you, Trust. This mouse is downright a scam. So what can we take away from this? Well, if you need a cheap gaming mouse, do yourself a favor and just dish out a little bit more money to get something like a Logitech G203, which is relatively cheap, but it works really well. Even if it's just a temporary mouse or a gift, don't get the cheapest option. And there's something more general that can be learned here. It's that these days, gaming is being slapped on everything. So even if something says that it's gaming, don't believe it. It most likely refers to the look of the thing, not the function. Marketing sells. Don't be fooled. But with all of that, that is it for this time. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Remember to click that like button if I helped you out or even entertain you a little bit. And subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. As always, I'm lowfigh and I'm wishing you all a great day. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.